Hello,
Hello.
and welcome
Welcome
to
to
our
19th newsletter.
19th. I had to make
you.
sure that she was do the 9.
I told you to do the 9 and you do the team.
I do the team. 19. We are so excited to share with you guys what's been going on. It has been too long. Yes, so thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you.
But we have been so busy.
So busy with things such as getting our Japanese driver's license,
which was extremely difficult. If you ever want to hear about that, bring it up another time with us.
Let's have a personal conversation about that.
But we also had family come and visit.
That's right. Alex's mom took that wonderful picture of us at Mount Fuji that Alex had sent out for our first year in Japan celebration.
That's right.
I also went to Vietnam for a women's retreat, which was really lovely.
And Eleanor and Jacaranda finished up their first year of Japanese school, and then they just started a new year of Japanese school. They start in April here in Japan.
That's right. And that's also when I restarted my Japanese language school too.
After taking a little break. And then I've been teaching at the school three classes a day, and Heather May's also been teaching on Fridays, teaching art. Yep. And so we have been tremendously busy. But in this newsletter, rather than focus on those things, we decided to focus on celebrating the year as a whole.
And some of the relationships that we have been blessed with throughout this year as we've been living and surviving. And
this year's, it's just been a blur.
It's been a blessed blur. We do call it a blur because it went by so fast and so slow, and it was crazy because everything was so new during that first year, but we know it was definitely blessed by the Lord, and we have felt it in so many ways. And so we're excited to be able to share a couple of those ways with you guys today.
Yeah, I feel like the first 8 months our hair was just on fire trying to adapt to living in a new country, and now we're like, oh, we know the stores here, we know the area well, like it's starting to feel more and more familiar.
I can drive on the left side of the road really well.
Yes. So that feels really good. So as we focus on this year, Heather May mentioned it, but we're going to really focus on the people we've met. And God's brought so many people into our lives, and it just really astounds us and shocks us. But we'll just be focusing, we'll just tell you 3 longer stories of 3 different families that we have, that God's brought across our path. And so the first one is a Japanese-American couple that we met at a church in our first weeks being here in Nagoya. And the husband is Japanese, grew up in Japan, but in college he went to the United States, and during that time, somebody invited him to church, and he said, well, sure. He went. And the more he went, the more it made sense to him, and he ended up giving his life to Christ. And so he's a Christian now. He met his wife, and of course they're married. And so we've just become friends with them.
Yeah, and they have 2 kiddos around our children's ages, and so we've been able to get together. They don't live close to their church at all, so it's been a neat relationship because we live closer to their church than they do, so there's been opportunities for them to stay at our house and for our families to have really nice fellowship together.
But then it's also fun to go out to where they live to visit them. And so it's been a good friendship. And then also there is, Next is the name of a youth group that missionaries raise support to come here to serve in Next, to be able to serve missionary kids and also local kids in a youth group type setting. And so that's also been a great time to get together with the husband and to grow in friendship. So
that's right.
Yeah, that's been awesome. The next story we wanted to share with you was about a French man that I met on accident. I don't think it was accident. I think it was the Lord. But the school that I teach at, there is a kombini that is just like 3 or 4 minute walk away. Kombini is the Japanese way of saying convenience store. So it's a 7-Eleven. It's they've got a bunch of like Japanese food, and of course they do. We're in
All
Japan.
kind of snacks and
Yeah.
drinks and stuff. So.
But anyways, I was there, and usually when I see strangers, I smile at them, and that includes Japanese strangers or other foreigner strangers. And so this guy was a foreigner, and usually foreigners don't smile back. I think that I don't know what's on their mind, but this guy did, and I was like, oh, well, this guy's kind of friendly. And so the Lord kind of put it on my heart to start more of a conversation with him. And I saw he had some tattoos, and Heather May has some tattoos as well. And something something that Heather May is always, go ahead,
So,
please.
just to like give a little context to this, there's a thing in Japan called onsen, which is like a public bathing house. And in the area we live in, I haven't found a single one that allows you to go to the onsen if you have tattoos. So when Alex saw this fellow,
this is kind of on my mind, and so I saw this guy with tattoos, and I was like, oh, this is a great way to ask. So I said, hey, I notice you have tattoos. Have you found a place to go to onsen around here? And he's like, oh, well, actually. And so we end up getting to start a conversation about that, and we move on to other things. Oh, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? And so I told him, oh, I actually teach at this school right down the road. It's an international school, and that's why I came to Japan. He's like, okay, that's cool. We talked about some other stuff, and he had just had a new baby, second baby, like something like 20 days old.
Yeah,
weeks old. And so he's like, sorry, I'm really out of it. I'm not really. And he, by the way, he has amazing English. He's a French guy, but he knows English, Spanish, a lot more Japanese than I have. And so it's pretty cool. So talking with him is really easy. But then the Lord kind of put it on my heart, well, tell him more about why you're here. And so I said, well, I'm actually also here as a Christian missionary. And he just pauses for a minute, and he's like, really? And I was like, yeah, I am. And he says, well, that's funny because my wife, and his wife is Japanese, my wife actually went to a Christian church in Chiba, and Chiba's area of Tokyo. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. And like, there's also something about like a Christian school there too. And I was like, really? And he couldn't remember the names of these places. I couldn't remember the names of places, but we exchanged contact info. And as we texted and he got information from his wife, and I got information from people at the school. But it turns out that he is married to somebody who used to attend a church that was planted by MTW years ago in Chiba. And not only that, but they also attended for a year at the same school that Robert Stewart, the headmaster, he calls himself, of Nagoya Christian School, he is the administrator of our school. It's the same school that he helped start 30 years ago in Chiba before moving to Nagoya to help to establish Nagoya Christian School. And so it's like, we are both like spinning, both me and my new French friend, we're just spinning, thinking about like, what are the odds? Like, how crazy is this? And not only that, but actually last night I just went out with him and my friend Steven to go see a French movie that was coming out. We were talking there, and it turns out that Steven also, when he first came as a missionary to Japan years ago for short-term missions, he looked at the place on the map where he lived, and it's right next, like a stone's throw, like a block or two away from where my French friend's wife's family lives. And so it's just amazing, all these things that God has lined up. And so we've gotten together I've gotten together with him a few times, and our families have gotten together, and he describes himself as an atheist and his wife as an atheist. But yet he's still curious and open-minded, and he's asked me, like, how did you become a Christian? And I talked about all of the obstacles that God got me through to help me to come to faith in him. And a lot of them were very much like brain, like logical things that were hard for me to get through. So a lot of how God reached me was through my mind. And I could tell that he had a lot of like pushback and questions, but God gave me the answers. But anyways, I just see an opportunity, and I pray for him that God would work in his heart and his wife's heart, that they could have the gift of faith. And so we're just really thankful that they were brought into our lives. And so that's, it's funny that, you know, we came to Japan expecting to be witnesses to the Japanese, but here this French guy has come along and his Japanese wife, and God is still working, even in ways we couldn't have expected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's to the nations, it's to our neighbors, it's to the people God puts right in front of us.
That's right.
That, I mean, just who knows what God is doing, but we know that it's good, and we know that he has a plan.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool that God like put this man right in Alex's path that would never have had an opportunity to meet unless we were in Japan. And unless they had tattoos. It's kind of kind of weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Anyways, with that, we wanted to share one final story of a relationship that's been growing and has been very special. And that is a relationship with one of Eleanor's friends from school. So she goes to a Japanese school, and when she first started attending, she didn't know much Japanese at all. And so I think she really had fun at school, but she also felt kind of lonely. But after several months, there was this one girl that really reached out to Eleanor and wanted to have more relationship with her. They play more often at school. And so when Eleanor's birthday came around, I asked her what friend she wanted to invite for her birthday, and she said, this girl. And so we invited her, and so she came with her mom, and it was really sweet. Her mom doesn't speak any English, and so it's been really good for me to practice Japanese with her. And they had so much fun, and exactly 1 month later was that little girl's birthday, and so they invited Eleanor and her sisters and me to her house for her birthday party. And so since then, we've had several play dates together, and the mom and I have been keeping in touch, and she's been so helpful with helping me understand the school system and requirements, because even though there's Google Translate, it's still confusing. But it has been lovely. We've had opportunities to share our lives with one another. We invited her family to our church for Easter Sunday, and hoping to invite them to more events that happen at our church, but also just for conversation, because Eleanor has this really lovely sense in her heart about why it is we're here, why we're in Japan, why we're alive. And about a month or so ago, when she was going to sleep, she just shared with me that she really wishes she knew more Japanese. And she's like, I just want to tell all my classmates about Jesus. And I'm just like, yeah, girl, I get you. And so it was so sweet, and that's what she wants to do. That's what we want to do, what we get to do. We've been so grateful to be here, and we're so grateful for the support that you guys have given us through your generosity, through your prayers, through your thoughts, through reaching out and contacting us. We're so grateful, and we want to let you know how much we appreciate all of that so much.
Yeah. And so all of these people that God has brought into our lives, it couldn't have happened without you supporting us and sending us here. And that's something that really, I mentioned this earlier, and Heather May said it too, is that each person that's been brought into our lives, I think, like, I would have never met this person if I hadn't moved to Japan. And I wouldn't have moved to Japan unless God had called us. And we wouldn't have made it here unless God had provided what we needed to get here through all of you who have partnered with us to be here. And so the fact that you've invested in a missionary to be here means that in a country with less than 1% Christian population, that most people can't meet a Christian, that people have come into contact with a Christian family, and that we have an opportunity to witness to them. So thank you for partnering with us. Thank you for sending us here. Thank you for continuing to support us as we live here and are witnesses to what God's done in our lives and in the history of the world. So
that brings us to the end, and our prayers is just that our hearts would continue to be more softened to the Lord, more aligned with Jesus, more in tune with his work, that our whole lives, our minds, our bodies, our strength, our will, our choices, that it would all love Jesus more than anything else, that's what would overflow from us, so that the people around us would have an opportunity to know the gospel and come to Jesus, who loves them. And so please do pray for us that our mouths would be able to speak the truth and share the gospel with the people around us, and that there would be soft hearts to receive it.
Yes, even with our limited Japanese.
Yeah.
And just pray for these people that we've shared with you, that their hearts would be open to the gospel. And pray for our family. Pray that we can love one another and show the world God's love through how we love one another. And is there anything else we can pray for, Heather May? Our teaching at the school.
Our children.
Yeah.
Our children to continue to grow in the love of the Lord.
Yeah.
Mercy and compassion and grace for one another, because
Yeah.
we're all humans living together, and it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard for every family, I think. So we appreciate your prayer, and we would love to pray for you as well. So you guys can always respond to these emails, and we'd be happy to pray for you also. So with that, we'll wrap up this newsletter, and we plan to send out another one in a month or two and be able to update you more about our Japanese language learning. So thank you very much, and
God bless you all.
we'll see you next time. Bye.